In this lesson, we're going to cover... What the fuck are we going to cover? In this lesson, we're going to cover the movie render queue in Unreal Engine and the HUD, also known as a burn-in, and why it's so important. Let's go.
Hey, welcome to Real-Time Workflows. I'm MX Bell. I worked on Deadpool and Wolverine, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, 1917, Hobbs and Shaw, Wheel of Time, Little Mermaid, No Time to Die, tons more. What you're going to get in the channel are my pro tips and how I use Unreal Engine to make films. So let's get started. Let's make some stuff. See you down the road.
Hey, welcome back to Real-Time Workflows. I'm MX Bell. Yeah, we're going to cover the movie render queue, how to get it on. It used to be called Advanced Movie Render Queue. Now it's just Movie Render Queue. But it's still better than the legacy render queue, which is what ships kind of by default. So you need to turn on movie render queue in your plugins. So let's jump over to Unreal Engine, and if we go to edit plugins, this is just my MX Bell starter kit that you can download via the link below, by joining the mailing list, I should say. So we're going to go movie render. So I've got it turned on. I've also got movie render queue additional render passes turned on. I'm going to turn that off just so that we are not looking at things that you're not going to see. There you go. So this is the shot that comes with the my starter pack. All we're going to do here is render it. So let's just take a look at cinematics and movie render queue. Now, to get the job in, we can usually go just click on render and add. If you've got a lot of sequences in it, which you will have if you've been doing a lot of stuff, this has only got a few basic things in. We are just gonna pick it here, but you can also search for it. So if you know what shot code is, or you can drag it in from here. First thing you notice is it says unsaved config. Now what that means is that we can set up a configuration for our renders, which is, it tends to be like, if you're going to be doing a lot of them, you just want the one. And what's nice is when you've set this, all the ones that you then drag in will default to it in this session, which is cool. So the first thing we want to do is actually set one. So I notice I've just got a kind of standard one here. Let's just set one up now. So the first thing that I want to do, I want to change it from JPEG to PNG. So I'm just going to click on the JPEG setting and delete it, and then choose PNG. We can leave right alpha on. And the other thing that I'm going to do that's super important is I'm going to add a burn-in. And then I'm going to set a folder where I'm going to save these the renders. Now by default, they will go as an image sequence into your saved folder, and they'll just be all of them in the root of the movie renders folder, which is not what we want. So let's take the sequence name and copy that and paste it. And now what that will do is that will create a folder with the sequence name, and then all the files inside it will be sequence name dot frame number, which is exactly what we want. And then that's that. So I'm going to now save this as a preset. I'll make a folder for presets. We'll put it in there, inside cinematics. So it's saving it in the root movie renders folder, so we can just put root, we know it's in there. Now, if I save them onto my, let's say, H drive, because that's where I put my renders, the first thing I'll put here is H for the drive, and then something else. But I'm going to put root, I'm going to put PNG, I'm going to put HUD. Now, there's absolutely no reason why you wouldn't have the HUD on. You should always, unless you're rendering final pixel full frame, you're going to want to have the HUD on, and we're going to go through the HUD in a minute and explain what it does. So root PNG HUD, I think that's it, right? Root PNG HUD, that's all I did. Save. So now I can click accept that. So it's changed that to root PNG HUD. I can click accept, and now if I were to add another, if I were to drag another, let's see, another sequence in here. If I was to add another sequence in, this one will default to the one we just set, which is cool. So you can then, so you drag, you put one in, choose the preset, and then drag all the others that you want to render, and it will queue them up and do them. So that's really good. That's a really good feature. So that's going to render you an image sequence. Now, if you want to put that into After Effects, that's historically how it's worked. That it will do it as a PNG sequence, and you put it into After Effects. Now, one of the new features is of 5.6 is we can do a H.264 MP4, and that's probably for intermediary purposes, so for previs, you're probably good to have an MP4. If all you were going to do, which is what I did for my film for every single shot, was chuck the image sequence into After Effects, and I did some other stuff in After Effects as well, but I did it for every single shot, and I had this little process. That's just taking this away now, which is really good. The previous method that we used at work was to create an FFmpeg. We would use FFmpeg, which does a whole kind of thing. It does its own business, but the options were limited. Now the options are limited with this as well. Obviously, you can see that there's not many options with any of this stuff. So like when you work on a job, they'll give you a tech spec of what they expect the videos to look like. Now you'll get more options by rendering out an image sequence and putting it into After Effects. There'll be more options if you do that, and you'll be able to meet the tech specs better. But if you're just doing your own previs, I'd just do that. I'll be doing that from now on. Now, because I've changed that though, I'm going to change this and save it as a new preset, and I'm going to save it to root MP4 HUD, right? So that we've got separate presets. Just with regards to when we're inside sequencer, we can click on this to get to the movie render queue. We can click on this. However, it's got two options. By default, it's set to movie scene capture legacy. We don't want that. It's a pile of dog shit. There's a reason it's getting. There's a reason it's legacy. I don't understand why it's the default and it's called legacy, and they still insist on you adding it as a plugin and everything else, which should just be default to this, and you can throw this away. But just so you've seen it, this is what it looks like. It can give you. It could always do videos. It was the only reason to do it. You've got many less options, and it's just. This was already kind of outdated when I started using Unreal Engine, but when it's the new thing was the advanced movie render queue, and now it's just movie render queue, and eventually it's probably just going to replace that thing. But if you want to get to it through here, you can do. I don't, because I'm still used to going through the menu, but you could just have to change this to movie render queue, and then you hit that button and this will pop up. Okay, so with that, let's talk about render local, render remote. I always used to render remote, and what that does is it opens up a new instance of Unreal to render it. It opens up an instance of the game, renders it, and then closes itself down. In theory, I suppose if you were doing a really long render, you could do that, and then you could carry on working in your instance of Unreal Engine if you wanted to. I don't know why anyone would do that. And also, we're doing previs. It renders pretty quick. Just hit render local. It's fine. As you can see, the thing in the background is the kind of work in progress techvis tools thing that I've put out. Again, that's in my Unreal Engine starter pack. If you want to get it, you can get it at the link below. So let's check out what just rendered. We're going to go in here and saved preview renders. Now, as you can see, because I put it in its own folder, you see all these other ones rendered. I've previously rendered didn't have their own folder. And if you were rendering image sequences, then there's a good reason to have a folder. Actually, the folder thing is less of an issue if you're just rendering an MP4, but that's up to you. So we double click this now. What we can see is our HUD, and I'm going to take you through each bit of the HUD now, and we'll talk about what's in it. The really obvious one is job, and that's the sequence code of the shot we rendered. Now we know that we need that because we want to be able to identify when we put this in front of the client, they're going to see this as an edit. So each shot, there'll be a shot before, a shot after it. There'll be many shots in the edit, and they're going to pause it and they're going to talk about the shot and give you notes. So you, or whoever's taking notes for you, needs to be able to see immediately what shot they're talking about. The date and time, like if you were going to edit this HUD, you could delete time. For me, I don't really need the time, but the date is super important. And the most single useful thing on this, other than the shot code itself, is world. This tells you what level this shot was rendered in. Now, if you're coming from previs, like traditional previs, like Maya and stuff like that, when you open your shot, the world will be loaded in. It'll be a reference to an external asset, and it'll be loaded in. It's referenced in the shot. It's not in Unreal. In Unreal, you need to open the level that you're gonna work, that you want to work in, and then open the shot. Now, at some point, hopefully they'll set it so that you can open the level sequence and it'll know which level it's supposed to be in. I'm hoping that's going to be on the cards at some point, because it'll make things simpler. But as of right now, and even if not, like, that'd be something you could forget to do. So this needs to be in there, right? It's the world. I've worked on a job recently, and we had to use a HUD that didn't have that in it, and so I've got myself into predicaments where I can't remember which level I had various different versions of the world for shot specific reasons, and there's no record when I look at the shot which one I used for that, and it's kind of a bit of a guessing game. Then I'm opening one and then opening the shot and see if it works. If it don't, I'll open another one. So super important that stays there. The branch bit, I mean, it tells you which version of Unreal you're using, but I suppose it's important if you were going to rebuild this in any way, but I wouldn't need that. If I was going to edit this, and I don't recommend editing it unless it's really distracting for your clients, because there's so much information on it. But fuck them, like, they need to it's not for them, it's for you. Time code, super important, as well as the frame numbers. There's if you had a sequence, if this was a sub sequence, so for example, if you were editing in Unreal, that time code is the master time code, and in your shot is the one over there on the far right. So in here it says no shot, because it means that this shot is the shot. There is no sub shot. So if this was an edit, your shot code in the top left would be the name of the edit, because that's the level sequence that you set off to render. And then each sub sequence of that, each shot, individual shot, would come up here with the shot code and its own individual time code, which is really important. Its own individual time code. Now, because this is just a single shot, these two are the same, right? So in theory, if you're going to make your own, you might just want the one for local shot code, because in theory, I'm not a big fan of having master time code. However, I did work on a job in the edit, found it useful. So I don't need it. I need the local time codes for each shot, because anything I'm going to do, I'm going to be doing that. But it's there anyway. I don't see any point in deleting it. Then we've got 21mm, which is obviously the lens, super important. F2.8 is the f-stop of the camera. Now, that might be important to you if you were going to try and replicate these camera moves with real cameras, things like that. That could go for me. I don't really give a shit, for the most part, at least, until it comes up in techvis. And if it came up in techvis, I'd probably put it in the techvis burn-ins specifically. And 100,000 is the depth of is the focus point of the camera, and that's in centimeters. So quite why that's 100,000 in this shot, I don't know, because it don't feel like it should be. Let's just take a look. That feels like it's wrong, to be honest. So I just want to check what's going on. Yeah, 100,000. I didn't change the default, so yeah, it's set to 100,000. You know, in theory, we would bring this into focus here, which I thought I did, but there you go. So now I would probably not do that change in here. I would duplicate the shot, and then make that change, and then re-render it as version 2. But yes, so that is the focus distance and evidence that I didn't quite finish this shot when I this version of the shot. So that is movie render queue, saving presets, and the HUD, and how important it is. So always use it, and we'll see you next time. All these things are going to start coming together soon, and we're going to start making some cool shit. This is the groundwork, right? So back soon with cool shit.